Welcome to the Oracle SCM Cloud Configure-to-Order implementation course. In our first topic, we'll define the concept of the configure-to-order process flow. By implementing configure-to-order, customers will only manufacture or procure a finished good with a particular combination of options once a sales order for the combination is received. As an example, the configure-to-order flow could be used if you wanted to order a laptop and configured it to have the following components: 1 terabyte of drive, 16 gigabits of RAM, black in color, and with a 16-inch screen. There are also many benefits to using the configure-to-order process. Typically, it's expensive to build and stock supply for all the different possible combinations of options, store them in inventory, then wait for your customers to order. Instead, you can just use in-time manufacturing and other manufacturing processes, such as postponement, to build the item on demand when and where your customer orders it. Additionally, some options rarely sell, but when they do, they meet an important customer requirement. Some items cost a lot of money and are expensive to maintain as on-hand inventory. Also, some items are physically large and not practical to stock in every possible combination. So therefore, modeling each configured item separately improves handling and helps the warehouse and shop floor to identify and manage the item. It also improves visibility for the item and on-hand quantities within inventory, promising, and planning. This diagram depicts the overall back-to-back fulfillment of a configured item in the make or buy flow. An order is first configured and placed in Oracle Fusion Cloud Order Management. Oracle Supply Chain Orchestration checks the configuration to see if the corresponding configured item was created. If not, Supply Chain Orchestration sends a request to Oracle Fusion Product Lifecycle Management to create a new configured item. Then, Oracle Global Order Promising generates a supply recommendation and schedule. Oracle Fusion Cloud Supply Chain Planning uses the order data in planning for component availability. Supply Chain Orchestration then creates the supply request documents for the configured item and delivers them to the appropriate application, either Oracle Fusion Cloud Manufacturing or Oracle Purchasing. In certain cases, the exact configured product may be available in another warehouse location. Global Order Promising may recommend that supply be transferred to the appropriate warehouse or be shipped from the location where it is currently available. Supply Chain Orchestration creates the supply request documents and then delivers them to Oracle Fusion Cloud Inventory Management if a transfer is recommended. This diagram depicts an example in which an order entry specialist receives a customer order for 50 configurable tablets that are configured with the options which are highlighted in the graphic. The order is first submitted, which is sourced either from a supplier or manufacturer to the order specifications, and then shipped to the customer from an internal warehouse. You can choose from multiple model types, and more than one type can include configurations. This course focuses on the configuration and fulfillment of two model types: Assemble-to-Order ATO, where the configuration results in a single item, and Pick-to-Order PTO, models with an ATO component, where the configuration results in more than one item and includes at least one ATO item. Warehouses rarely stock every set of options and an ATO model. Instead, they source the specific configuration required by an order after that order has been received. Sourcing choices include the following: purchasing the configured item from a supplier, or manufacturing the item to the specifications of the order. So what is configure-to-order then? Companies can opt to either have the supplier ship the item to the customer, such as a dropship scenario when the configured product is sourced from a supplier. In this course, we'll concentrate on the back-to-back fulfillment scenario where the item is manufactured internally or purchased from a supplier and then shipped to the customer from a local company warehouse. These are the applications that participate in the end-to-end processing of configure-to-order products. Product Model provides the item and its structure. Oracle Fusion Configurator provides the user view of the option selections and the underlying business rules. Oracle Fusion Pricing provides business rule-based prices that are automatically applied based on user selections. Supply Chain Planning uses this order data in planning for component availability. Order Management provides the order creation and fulfillment management workspace. Supply Chain Orchestration provides the supply creation and supply chain management workspace. Global Order Promising provides rules that govern the ability to promise and the mechanism to plan sourcing the item. Manufacturing provides the item work definition for work order creation for creating new supplies of the item. Purchasing. This provides blanket purchase agreements for pricing configured items procured from external suppliers and applies the prices to purchase orders for new supplies of items. Inventory Management provides management of components used in the manufacturing of configured products as well as the final configured item. It manages the flow of goods inbound, within the warehouse or stocking location, and outbound. Finally, cost management provides the cost to the enterprise for the item based on the selected options. We'll continue this discussion of the configured item fulfillment flow in our next topic, so let's get started. In this topic, we'll continue our discussion of what is the configured item fulfillment flow. So how do the various suppliers participate in the sourcing and fulfillment of configured items? These are the steps that an order entry specialist or order entry manager can take in the order management application to create and submit an order. They include entering the customer information, configuring the item, reviewing the selections and the pricing, submitting the order, verifying that the order fulfillment details exist, view the selections and examine the results of configured item matching, and view the state of the order fulfillment process. Note that prior setups using product configurator, pricing, and global order promising applications is necessary to support the activities listed in these steps. How is the supply of the configured item managed? Supply chain is a 360-degree view of the supply picture. If the item must be constructed based on the order specifications, then manufacturing is contracted and the supply creation is managed through a work order. If the item must be purchased from a supplier, then purchasing is contacted and a purchase order is created. Global order promising then collects the supply and demand data so that item availability can be presented. As the supply is created and moved to its stocking or staging locations, supply orchestration provides a view of the sourcing progress. After the supply is created, receiving receives the supply and stores it in the appropriate warehouse before shipping it to the customer. The supply chain operations manager and the order manager can sourcing and fulfillment activities in the corresponding application. Let's continue into our next topic to discuss the data path for order sourcing and fulfillment. This brief topic will describe the data path for order sourcing and fulfillment. Picks the data path that supports order sourcing and fulfillment. The slide shows both the make and the buy flows. The common steps will be discussed first. Submitting a sales order. This is for selecting and configuring the item and submitting the order for validation. Match configuration. This identifies and adds the configured item specification to the order. Configured item. Here, you create a new configured item if one doesn't exist. Schedule sales order. This starts the fulfillment processing. Create supply order. This identifies requirements, and then ship to customer, which sends the finished goods from the warehouse. Next is the configured item fulfillment processing flow. These are additional steps for the make path. These steps appear in the tan boxes. These include plan component availability, which is based on the selected components, create work order, which is based on the work definition for the ATO model, and complete work order. This builds the configured item, adds the finished goods into inventory, then reserves them to the sales order. Next are the additional steps for the buy path, and these steps appear in dark red. That includes create purchase order, item specifications to the supplier, and receive purchase order, which receives the finished goods and then adds them to the warehouse stock for the sales order. As a note, this process also supports change management. In the next upcoming topic, we'll discuss how do you set up a configure to order. Let's get started. Our next topic discusses set up configure to order. You use various work areas to set up a configure to order. You can use a graphics program or old-fashioned pen and paper to visualize your hierarchy. You'll use the setup and maintenance work area to manage the item class, and you use the product information management work area to perform the following task: create the model, option classes, and configure options, set up a structure for your model, add classes to your model, and set up numbering. You'll use the pricing administration work area to set model and configure options. The global order promising work area is used to do the following task: specify catalog and category, collect setup data and runtime data, and create promising and sourcing rules. And you'll use the work definition work area to do the following: create work definitions and add resources to the operations. Our next build-on topic will discuss setting up generation of a configured item. Let's continue. Discuss how do you set up generation of a configured item. So what is a configured item? A configured item is a result of the choices runtime in configuring an assembled-to-order product. The unique final assembly based on order choices is modeled as a unique item. Modeling a separate item improves handling and identification to the warehouse and shop floors and enables all functionality throughout Oracle Supply Chain Management Cloud. It also improves item and on-hand visibility in inventory, promising, and planning. The additional setup of the configured item. The specific configured item is also internally in downstream processes used for documentation creation. Work orders, purchase orders, and warehouse documents use a configured item during the fulfillment process. In manufacturing, specific processing of option-dependent operations for the configured item work order is enabled based on the selected options and transactions. Production planning is also enhanced as part of this manner. Finally, customers, suppliers, and other external trading partners continue to see the configuration in the way in which they need to see it, base model and option selected. Before using configure to order, you'll need to complete several setups. The first is to make sure that you have the item class and item number generation details populated. You'll complete the step in the Manage Item Classes task page. You'll go to the Setup and Maintenance work area, click the task panel, and then click Search. You'll enter Manage Item Classes in the search field, and you can either edit or create a new item class and set up number generation. To actually set up the number generation, you'll perform the following steps. First, in method field, select User Defined. Second, in the configured item number generation method field, you'll select Sequence. Third, you'll then specify a starting number and how much to increment by. Optionally, you can specify a prefix type, a suffix, and a delimiter. Order management displays the number in the configuration item attributes at the sales order at runtime. In the example which is shown here, CTO 474,000 is the name of the model. The asterisk is the delimiter, and 100 is the starting number. The next time you add the item with a different configuration, the 100 increments to 110 because the item numbering was set up with an increment of 10. The next topic we'll dive into is how do you create your configuration model? Let's continue. In this brief demonstration, I'll show you how to set up item number generation. Do this if you want to have unique item numbers generated when a configured item is created. To do this, the product administrator would create an item class and then set up the parameters for the automated item generation. Here's our navigation. We will go into the navigator, then down to the other section, then into the setup and maintenance feature. Next, under our setup task, we'll change the scope to it. Then click on the items functional area, and then finally search for and click on the task Manage Item Classes. From this page, I'll click on the Add function and we'll create a new class. Here we create the variables and the naming conventions for our item class. So here I'll use as an example demo, and then I'm just using my initials to make it unique. Item class naming convention, you'll see the system auto-populated the internal name which is stored in the application, and for description I'll just simply demo model class. Then I'll click on the button for save and add details. Next I'll click on the item management tab so we can add the number generation details. Under the section new item request, I'll enable the function for new item request. Then I'll set the following values under the number generation area. For the item number generation method, I'll change user defined, and for the configured item number generation method, I'll set that to sequence. Now in the my details, for the starting number, I'll put in 100. For the prefix type, I'll choose the option model item number. We want 1. And then I'll leave the suffix type as none, and then change our delimiter to an asterisk. In this demonstration, I'll leave all the other values set to their defaults, and then to save this, I'll click on the Save and Close button at the top,